Today we are going to be sewing a little mushroom motif onto a beret hat. So I saw a lot of people wearing berets last winter, and I think bobble hats are maybe now sort of on their way out. So I thought I've got to get me a beret. Don't know if it suits me, but I really wanted one, and this kind of mustardy colour is one of my favourite colours. But I just thought I might embroider a little sort of autumnal scene on the brim of the hat. I'm not sure you call it brim because it doesn't stick out, but on this part of the hat. Don't usually use stick and stitch very often. I don't like, it kind of slows me down because it's harder to sew through. But because this hat has some wool in it, pure wool, it does say don't wash. We will see, hopefully this will come off. I wanted a stabilizer because there's going to be a bit of stretch and pulling, and I don't want to damage the fabric. So we are going to stick a little image on. I'm going to change the image as I go along because I wasn't too keen on it. It's just a basic mushroom that I wanted the outline of. Got some colours here. I really like the mushrooms with the white spots on, which you don't see a lot in the UK. I'm not even sure you get them in this country. So I've got a nice red and an off-white. Felt like white would be a bit too stark. Then for the base of the mushroom I've got sort of a very pale neutral colour. I'm not sure about the snails, but I decided to do them in blues just as an extra nice colour, with green bodies, and then I'm going to add a little bit of dark grass at the bottom. The thing to remember when stitching on clothes is to keep your stitches really small, as if they go through the wash, although I won't be washing this hat because it says don't wash it. Keep your stitches small because the threads might get pulled or stretched if they go in the wash, or just general sort of wear and tear. So we're going to be doing long and short for everything, I think, with some straight stitches as well. In general I tend to use 2 strands for most things, but because we want a slightly chunkier look and it is on clothing, so we want it to be a bit more robust, I think I'm going to use 4. We'll certainly start with 4, and if I feel it's too chunky I will change it. But I'd be happy if the top of the mushroom was slightly padded looking, so that's okay. We're going to start with 4. You can hear it going through the stitch fabric, stick and stitch picture, and it's harder to sew through, which is one of the reasons I don't really like using it. But I thought for this, I thought I probably should. I've done a few dots there. I've got some thread still left on my needle, so I'm just going to go across the underneath of the mushroom, which I think can be a lighter colour, and then we'll move on to the darker colour for the bottom bit. So I'm ready to do my red now. I'm already regretting the decision to use the stick and stitch. It is really hard to sew through, and my needle is getting really sticky and horrible. I'm going to get some wet wipes after I've done this bit of stitching. The fabric itself is quite thick, so it's not going to be an easy sew, but just putting the stick and stitch over the top makes it so much harder. now finished the red stitching. It's very chunky and quite difficult, so I have now reduced it to 3 strands of thread. As you can see, the pattern is fading a little bit. It is coming off of my hands and it is getting a bit dirty, but hopefully that'll wash off. So I'm going to wash my hands. I'm also going to wipe down my needles because they're really sticky. And then I think I'm kind of doing the bigger things first, so I think now the mushroom stalk, it's probably a better word, is going to be next. So I think I'm going to do sort of straight stitches coming out at an angle here, and then doing long and short for the rest of it. I think there is enough colour difference between the two sort of neutral colours. I've just remembered another reason why I don't really like using this stick and stitch is when you're using a light coloured thread, it's really hard to see whether you've covered all the tiny gaps. When you're just on material, you can see the material shining through, but when it's covered with another light fabric, I find it tricky. It may just be my eyes. I don't know. There's kind of a trend for doing white embroidery on white background and black on black background, and it looks absolutely beautiful, but I don't think that is something I could do because I just wouldn't know where I've sewn and where I haven't sewn. So that's a little bit of a problem, but at the moment I'm happy with how it is looking through the stick and stitch. I think when we've washed it off, we'll have a look and we will be able to fill in any gaps, so it's not a problem. Just add in the odd stitch without a stabilizer. That is the stalk done. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of grass at the bottom to give it sort of a bottom edge to the picture. Just using different length straight stitch. Not too much, just a little bit. A little bit of grass done. You'll be able to see that a lot better when the stick and stitch has gone. And basically all I need to do now are 2 cute little snails. So I'm going to do a lighter green for their body. And I know snails aren't really blue, but I've got these nice blues that I just wanted to add to the mix, really. And you do get some pretty coloured snails, so I'm not quite sure if I'll use all 3 colours on each one or whether one will be a bit lighter than the other. I'm just going to experiment a little bit, and hopefully, I'm not sure how to get the swirl of the snail, to be honest, so I'm going to do one and then I'll let you know what I did. Let's start with the bodies though, I think that's important, and it's really starting to like wear off there, so I'm going to get the bodies done. I'm going with 2 threads, which is making it a lot easier. Still tricky, my needles are still getting sticky, they're still getting stuck as they go through. So this is why I don't use stick and stitch very often. I keep saying that, I don't know if that is a brand or is that's what it's actually called, I'm not sure. Basically it's a sticky thin material which has a pattern on, or you can draw your own pattern on, and it then dissolves in water. I do really love all the autumn colours. So I love this mustard yellow, I love the khaki kind of greens, the burnt oranges, love all those colours. So I have done my first little snail. What I did was take a single strand of my 3 blues and do split back stitch going round the kind of circle of the shell. To be honest, I don't think you can see I've used 3 different colours or split back stitch. I think for the next one I'm going to use just the lightest colour with a dark edge. So I think I finished the design. Did the second snail, slightly darker on the outside. I don't know if anyone will be able to pick that up. Sometimes you do details and it's kind of a secret. Only you can tell that you've done those extra details, but you know you gave your snail a nice outline. So what I'm going to do now is trim off the excess, stick and stitch, and then very carefully pop it in a bowl of water to remove the rest. Then we'll have a look and see if any holes need filling in. So I've got a bowl of water. I tend to use a bowl rather than using my sink because I get a little bit worried that the gluey residue might be something that could block my sink. That's probably not something I have to worry about, but that is a concern for me. So I'm just going to soak it in water and gently kind of peel at the edges, and hopefully it will start to disintegrate. There's always a little bit of a worry that it won't, and it does take a while. I find it's not an instant kind of whoa, it's disintegrated kind of thing. So you can see it's getting thinner. If I pull it apart, it's good, but it's still quite gluey. That bit's going as well, so we'll just keep going. It's getting there. I think because this is a wool hat, it's actually 100% pure wool. So I think I may have bought 2 nicer materials for this job, which is unlike me. I think it's getting caught on all the fluff of the wool. but it is almost all off, so I'm going to give it a soak for a bit longer and then let it dry and just pick off any tiny bits of white that you can see. But it is almost all done and looking kind of cute, hopefully. And here is my finished beret with mushrooms and snails. I think it's looking quite good. The lighter green does fade slightly into the mustard coloured hat, but overall I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out.